For those of you that don't know me, I'm Ben Thomas. This is Sam. You may have seen Sam earlier in Mark's presentation, and Bill Martin as well. So I'm the chair today, but I'll start with my 5 minutes on my farm first, and then we'll come to the other guy. So I farm at Treveddoe with my wife Claudia. We moved there in 2022. We previously worked around the country on a dairy farm in the large estate in Bath, and moved back to Cornwall in 2019. I manage a farm for Natural England down at Gosnell 4 days a week. So it's been my full-time role now for 6 years or so. But towards the end of 2021, the opportunity for Treveddoe, farm Treveddoe came up. The owners inherited it from their parents, and they did a country, and they had a very conventional tenant in at the time that they'd read this sort of regenerative farming books, gave ground to soil and that sort of thing. I think they caught the bug, and they were really keen to find a young couple or something similar to that were keen on regenerative farming and see how they could make that farm work. So we're kind of quite lucky in the way, I guess, compared to other farmers in this project. We came to, luckily I met Hannah at an event at Sam's a few months before, and we drew up a business model for the farm and got that. But luckily meeting Hannah before we did so, we were able to take those soil samples before we moved in, so we sort of hit the ground running with the project, even though we were slightly later to start. The whole time we've been there, we've been part of the project, which has been brilliant to have these really intelligent people out on the farm all the time. So yeah, what I said, we had the fortunate ability to sort of design the system to make it work for us, achieve the landowner's goals, but as you'll see as I go on, it kind of just really helps with minimising your carbon footprint anyway. So we proposed, so Treveddoe Farm is a 75-acre farm at Bombing Moor, edge of Bombing Moor, just south of Warlane. We've got 75 acres of permanent pasture and some woodland as well. So that lends itself to a sort of a good beef system. We thought we could fatten cattle up there. So we buy in Belted, Galloway, and Devon stall cattle. We take them through to finishing, and then we sell to premium online butchers such as Treway Farm, roughly in the last couple of years. Piper's Farm, Moore's Farm, Wilder, and then we do a bit of direct selling ourselves as well. So the thinking behind it is if we buy cheaper stall cattle, native breeds, no one really wants to buy a Belted Galloway stall in Treway, take it through our system and then add the value to it and sell it premium at the other end, because we've got that good native breed cattle which produces the good beef. And also it's producing the system, what's it about to balance that, I guess. So our system, had to be really simple to make it work. So our cattle alongside our day job, so cattle are kept outside all year round, fed nothing but what grows on our farm, so pasture and hay. We sort of mob graze in the summer, so I call it the growing season, so roughly, it wasn't last this year, but roughly early April, right through to about now, maybe a couple more weeks, we'll be mob grazed and moving cattle every single day. And then we have about 100-day winter, we call that, where we'll start bale grazing, where they're allocated a lot smaller area of the farm and supplemented with a bale of hay that we made that summer as well. And the bottom right photo, luckily for us, Google Earth updated their images. You see it, and you can see all our wriggles that we're making last winter, so it's quite cool to see. So a nice simple system, moving cattle every single day, and also because we were kind of coming into this as a new entrance, I guess. My parents have a farm, but this isn't farm alongside them at all. We run this separately. So we couldn't afford to buy loads of fertiliser when we first started. We just about had enough money to buy a few cattle when we moved in. We didn't want to spend loads of money on feed, didn't want to spend loads of money on fat, and minimal on fuel as well. So this system of moving the cows every day, long rest periods. We're aiming for about a 60-day rest period through the summer, and that rest and recovery really aids itself. It's just positive at everything. It's better for our bank balance because we're not spending money we don't have on it, on costly inputs. And then we're also building up soil health at the same time, which is achieving the landowner's goals. So it all ticks a lot of boxes. We're one of the unfortunate farmers that we had a very short mid-tier agreement which I cancelled to go into the SFI because we could earn a bit more from that. Happens that as we were just about to apply, they cancelled the SFI. So we're currently not in any stewardship scheme either, but I think it's quite nice that it lets our business stand on its own 2 feet. And I think we were talking about earlier, I think how the government's bearing and things like that, you can't base your business model on government support. So if we can do that, if we can have a good sustainable business without having to rely on that, and that's the direction we're going to travel in as well. And then the other thing, I guess we should add, we were fortunate to get an agroforestry project grant and system designed by Forest Cornwall, by Jenny here, a couple of years ago, and we started planting last year. And you can there's a few rows, a new shelter belts and hedgerows you can see. We tried to design it so that we're adding trees into our farm landscape, but also didn't want to inhibit sort of farming activity, making hay, etc. So where we planted hedges, we've left like a 90-foot heading, so that when you cut hay, all you're losing is that 1 10-foot strip through the middle of the field. And that system is most of it's planted last winter, and we've been grazing around all this summer, and it's made such a difference to how the farm looks. But it's really easy to help. It's really easy to help manage the grazing as well, because you're splitting your bigger fields up into smaller sizes to help you set up electric fences. And the main thing for us when we designed the system was for cattle welfare, animal welfare. So when you're moving them every day, you're obviously condensing them down into smaller areas. The weather then can have a big impact on their welfare. So if they're in a corner and they've got 20, 30 degree sun blazing on the day, we have to really start thinking about shade and shelter. So the trees are designed to help us with that. Browse as well was a big one. We're through our long rest periods and the rotations, we're seeing that natural permanent pasture really diversify. I think these guys will talk more about their herbal leys that they've sown, but we did try to establish some herbal leys up there, but it didn't quite work out, only for overseeding. But what I'm observing now over the last 2 years is that our pastures are really diverse. We almost get like a natural herbal ley, so a lot of the natural plantains, red clovers, the birds of Treveddoe, it's all coming through naturally, and that stuff, I'm not paying for that. It's all there in the soil seed banks, and it's persisting a lot longer as well. There's another herbal leys I put in to down at Gloucestermore and the Works Farm. A lot of the red clovers only last for a season or two, and we're trying to build a sustainable and system. And for me, because we haven't got the time or the ability to go around reseeding more often, so we want our grasslands to be self-sustaining, and with the breed of cattle we have, that's working really well. So that'll be that's me for a moment. So I'll hand over to Sam.
Right, so as everyone knows, probably might know, that's my dad, and I was quite glad when he called me a limousine cow. Rolling these bales are working. Essentially I work in partnership with my dad at Blable Farm, 3 miles that way, towards Winners Birch. And then we got Mum, who fills a gap in a gateway once in a while. No, Mum does a lot. She does a lot. She does the accounts. Just to clarify. Yeah, so as it says, yeah, we've got 460 acres grazable ground. And yeah, we've got 120 mil of rainfall yearly, normally. So yeah, pretty standard in Cornwall, I'd say. Medium low soil, so helps throughout wintering, which is a big part of our system. So move on to grazing. It's a paddock grazing system, as you can see, bottom left. We have essentially on the farm we've got about 186 paddocks, which is about a hectare per paddock. And with those paddocks, we get a rotation, and normally about a 30-day rotation, a lot less than bends, but that seems to work for us more so. Everyone's different and they like different ways, but yeah, we've got 140 cow suckler herds. Yeah, mainly stabiliser as a base cow, with our terminal size being Angus and North Devon. We like the stabiliser cow. It's hardy because we do a lot about wintering, and it does keep a nice frame on the cow for when it comes around to selling the beef to St Mary. We're not organic at the moment, but we are probably going to become organic, which is all very exciting. So yeah, stock calving beginning of April for about 9 weeks, and with the native breeds does make our lives a lot easier. The calves come out easy, jump up, suck, out they go. So it's all for me and Dad, because Dad does like travel around to see lots of different places, which is good, and I do as well. So it gives us a lot of time to be able to come to different events like this. And for us, it's, yeah, we wouldn't be where we are if we didn't do any of this. So going around and seeing other people's farms and seeing what we can adopt. That's, yeah. So our cow size, about 650 kilos, which could come down, probably will come down in the future. But yeah, and our main aim throughout the year, from the calf, coming out of the cow, is one kilo a day of live weight gain. That's throughout its life until the day it leaves the farm. And that's, if we get to that stage, well, yeah, it'll be nice. And at the moment, we're 0.98. So almost there, but yeah, it's going pretty well. And as Dad said, it was back in 2020 when we first started the paddock grazing and out wintering, and we still now looking at it thinking we can do better next year in different ways. So if a farmer goes up to you and tells you he's got it right, he's lying. You can always improve. But yeah, we got normally about 90 acres a year we have for our wintering, and that's pretty much very similar to Ben's. We got deferred grass and round bale silage. So compared to Ben's, we're a bit more intensive on the amount of cattle on each paddock for when they're on the outwintering. So with Ben's side, you could go in there the next spring and there'll be a nice bit of grass all growing, but we have normally about 60 cows and 60 calves together on 0.3 of an acre paddock. So, and that's per day, and they're per day shifts. So that they do, on a day like today, they wouldn't make too much of a mess. But if it's a day where it's drizzling all day, and yeah, about a couple of weeks ago, terrible, they do. But depends what you're going to do with it at the end of it. Because we like to reseed with a new herbal ley. So yeah, the calves outwintered, as I said, they stay on the cows. We don't wean them until about a month before the cows are meant to calve. We do that. The cows do eat more grass because they've got look after themselves as well as look after a calf. But like everyone knows, when you wean a calf, that's the most stressful part of their life. Now, if you're weaning them in November, December time, they're more likely to catch your pneumonias and stuff like that, and then that will take them back a bit as well, and then they've got to adjust to silage. So if they stay on the cows throughout the winter period, we find that they can learn from their mums, and well, it's a more natural way at the end of the day. But and they averaged 0.8 of a kilo a day, which was last winter, which was pretty awesome. So yeah, last thing I'll say about us is the only time that the cattle on our farm come into the sheds is when they go our fattening stock. So our fattening steers or heifers, which they'll come in for about 3-4 months, and they'll just have a red clover lay and barley. Not much barley, I think they only average, not too much, give them, because they naturally fatten anyway. And they're on farm between 18 and 24 months, which is, we don't want to keep them for that third summer or spring, because we want to prioritise that grass on the new growing stock. So, and then as, I can't remember what someone said earlier, we do bed our stock on compost, which has been really good tool to have, because you've got figures here somewhere, but it's really good for the soil, and as well as we have bedded up on sea sand this year as well. So that's me.
Anyone know how to talk about a computer? Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. So my name's Will, and I farm with my wife, Kate, who's unfortunately unwell today, so she's not here. And also our two mini farmers, Charlie and Flora, at Treway farm at Coombe, which is located between Treway and St Austell. Kate and I are both first generation farmers. We're farming about 300 acres spread over 3 sites, all down to pasture. We've got about 150 acres in permanent pasture, and about 150 acres in herbal leys under the SFI scheme. We're currently farming about 80 spring calving shorthorn cows. We're doing about 3,000 seasonal turkeys and geese, and also trialling a small amount of Jersey Roseville and shorthorn calves, which are finishing between 8 and 12 months old. We run a complete farm to fork process, with all stock finished on the farm and sold direct to consumer, apart from a few turkeys sold into local farm shops and retail outlets. I would say one thing that does work really well is with our turkeys and our cows is the way we get our buildings to work for us. So because of spring calving, once the turkeys are gone at Christmas, the cows come in, they calve March, April, they're back out, and then by beginning of June we've got turkeys in, and the turkeys are in the buildings again, going to Christmas. So they're working really hard for us, so that's how our turkeys and our cows, they all work really well together. All our stock of beef is 100% grass-fed and finished to PFLL, to pasture-for-life standards, and we use a pallet stroke fence moving grazing system, which we move cattle every day to help improve our daily live weight gains, and the pallets are left to ideally 60 days before returning to the same period. We support other local farmers with buying their produce that is created to the same high environmental and welfare standards and as us, and we sell direct through our online website. This would include hogget, beef, pork, water buffalo and wild venison. We've also got a big problem with fallow deer at the moment, which is like sort of free cows at the moment, so we're really trying to harvest them and find an outlet for them. So it's working well. We've made some massive changes over the last few years in how we've farmed our suckler herd.
started farming about 16, 17 years ago now, so it'll show you my age, but we started off rearing livers and cross calves, and then I then got rid of calves, so then we had livers and cows at the beginning, and I started creep feeding calves quite heavily, and then we're finishing on an ad-lib barley diet. So now we've moved to the native beef short and sort of purely grass-fed, grass-finished diet. In our direct selling journey, we've found a real niche in the ancestral health community who are looking for grass-fed and grass-finished beef for the added health benefits that come with that. We now supply a lot of customers who are following the ketogenic and carnivore lifestyle. I wasn't sure 100% grass finishing system was possible until I came across Farm Net Zero 5 years ago and met other like-minded farmers like Ben here, for example, to see how this could be done. I knew this would add a premium to our beef, it would be more environmentally friendly, and also works well with growing more herbal leys on the SFI and getting paid to grow the stuff. I find the SFI and our grazing system really do work hand in hand. Also on that note as well, I'm the Cornwall poultry rep as well, and as of last night I'm the NFU St Austell branch chair. Right with them. Until I recently got a bit more involved with the NFU, I couldn't believe how much actually work goes in behind the scenes of what they do, and I believe that it's, if you want change and you think things can be done, just got to get involved, don't sit from the outside and complain about it, just get in there and help make the change. And I know that Stefan asked me when I got here as well, would you be growing so many herbal leys if it wasn't for the SFI? And I think about that, and the financial incentive of growing the herbal leys on the SFI is our main driver, and we finish our cattle on it. But the way that the herbal leys have been so resilient in the last few years with the weather, I think I would actually grow them still. Maybe not to the same extent of worrying about how many legumes, how many herbs you've got in there, but I believe that the SFI is great, and that's why I believe that lobbying and telling them and going to talk to your local MPs and telling them how great the SFI is and the environmental goodness that we're doing is how that we should be rewarded for that, and it all goes hand in hand, is how I believe anyway. Also being very proud to be part of Farm Net Zero and seeing how much work really goes into running these events and how much it benefits us farmers as well, and the mindset as well that helps change people. And just you might go along and you'll just pick something up from another farm, you're like, wow, like I could do that. And it's like the environmental way, even if it's only just a small thing, so it makes a big difference at home. I also know that working with James from the West Country Rivers Trust has been really good as well, and I've seen a massive improvement in our soil carbon content by yearly monitoring, which has allowed me to transfer that data now back to our consumers and demonstrate all the good things that we're doing across our farm. One of the most favourable events though that I've been involved with, which Hannah kindly got me involved with, is the Helen project. I don't know if you guys got to talk a bit about that earlier on, I wasn't here, but the Herbal Ley Establishment Network, which looked at different methods of establishing herbal leys in existing permanent pasture land without the use of ploughing. For our farm, we had 4 low-lying paddocks, which were then sprayed off 1/3 in each end of each field using glyphosate, and the rest of the field was left as how it was. So then in the other direction, we then used 2 cultivation methods. One was direct drilling and the other was power harrowing drilling. Also, these 3 fields are right next to the road, and I know that there's a lot of farmers who drove past and thought, what the hell is he doing in there? But the results have been amazing, and it's attracted a lot of attention from local farmers. And I know when we had our first meeting with Hannah, and got a lot of farmers involved, there's a real massive interest, and the results are really interested with local farmers, so that's just one great thing. But the results really proved establishment was possible under these conditions. Yes, chemical treatment did help and did give better results in terms of yield, but the trial proved to me that herbal ley establishment without using a plough is actually possible, and as long as the soil conditions are right and they get the subsequent grazing right, it was a tool that I can use to establish more herbal leys on my farm without having to touch the plant. So overall, the Farm Net Zero community have been a real supportive to me over helping us to achieve our zero carbon footprint, and I've really enjoyed the challenge. So we'll continue to do all the good environmental stuff on our farm, and I'm looking forward to what comes next.